Hi everyone, this is Matt for Scenes of TV, and big news today, iconic Brisbane venue The Zoo is undergoing a change of ownership and management. With me to explain the situation is co-founder and manager Jock Curran and incoming owner and manager Pixie Wayand. So Jock, first of all, I'd like to know what's actually happened with The Zoo today.
Well, today we are selling the zoo, and we're selling the zoo to Pixie.
Hello.
Right, and what's prompted this decision? I mean, after 23 and a half years of not only owning the zoo, but also managing it on a weekly basis, what's brought this about?
Well, I think that is actually answers the question, 23 and a half years. I've spent my whole adult life at the zoo since I was 25, and I feel like it's time to see what else Jock Curran can do.
Now, after 23 and a half years, is it difficult emotionally letting go of something like the zoo?
Oh, sure. I'm in shock. Like I haven't let go. It's, it's day one. I'll probably still, I don't know if I'll ever let go. It's in your blood.
And I'm really interested to know how Pixie came about as the choice for a new owner and manager.
Well, actually, my landlord suggested Pixie because my landlord, who is Arthur Apostolos and Charlie Apostolos, they have also championed, when you talk about people who are involved in the Valley, they are huge local champions. I think they own quite a few buildings and quite a lot of sort of young breeding ground establishments. And if it wasn't for them, there's a lot of people that wouldn't have gotten their first start in the Valley. And they are also Pixie's landlord, and when I talk to them, and I've travelled the same road with them, grown up with them almost. When I told them, then I think the cogs started turning for Arthur, and he said okay. And then one day he came and he said, "I think I've got the new you."
Now, Pixie, you've got quite a history yourself, not only in the music industry but as a businesswoman. First of all, can you tell us a bit about some of your background and also your motivations for wanting to take on the role of the new Jock at the zoo?
I've had a couple of businesses myself over the years, and I've sort of built those from the ground up. So, I mean, before I had a cafe, I've got a cafe and a bar, and I've had a fashion label, and I've been in music, I've sung in bands. My dad's a muso, so I've been quite immersed in the music scene for a number of years. I've sort of grown up around it, and I absolutely love it.
I don't think it's a new Jock.
Yeah.
I think you have to be yourself. I don't think it's a new Jock.
I'm flattered by that, though. Like, no. I'm like, oh, yeah.
No, but I feel it's important that, there has been a time and a space, and now it's Pixie's space, and, I'm really excited to see where she's going to take the zoo.
I think the big question we're coming up to here is what most of the punters and regular punters would like to know is, and probably Pixie can answer this, what changes, if any, can we expect from the zoo?
I guess... as sort of mentioned before, one of the major changes we'll be doing is aircon, like physical changes, I guess. Aircon, yay.
Yay.
Yeah, I think for the first 6 months being quite new to the industry, there's a lot of things I still have to learn. And I think what I'll do is I'll spend the first 6 months just feeling it out, understanding what works, what doesn't work, and then take it from there. Obviously, we'd like to keep the music evolving, so we'd like to bring in some... look at partnering up with locals, maybe Love Supreme guys, and then keep the rock and roll going as well. So I think the importance of the zoo is that it is quite a diverse venue. So I want to nurture that as well, up and coming bands. So there's lots on the cards, but essentially it's still going to be the same venue it's always been. It's just going to have, I hope, a little bit more evolution.
Now, Pixie, do you remember the first band you ever saw at the zoo?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I think you said Gyroscope.
I think it might have been Gyroscope. That was the first band I ever saw at the zoo.
Great Australian venue.
They were the first band. I actually was born in Townsville, so they were the first band. I remember moving to Brisbane and I actually went and saw Gyroscope by myself because I didn't know anybody. So I just started going to gigs to try and meet people. So, yeah, that was the first band that I think I ever saw at the zoo.
You must have an amazing wealth of memories and experiences from that time. What are some of your favourite memories?
Well, I had to do a calculation. This was a few years ago. I had to speak and I had to work out roughly how many bands had gone through the zoo. And this was 3 years ago, and it was 18,000 bands. So to pinpoint it down to a couple is a bit difficult. I met some really great guys that are known now as the Dirty Three. And they were really great friends. And I remember the first show they did, they came up and I think they weren't the Dirty Three then, they were the actual backing band for the Black Eyed Susans. And they came to the zoo and there was 33 people there, and we decided to all sit down on the floor and do a circle. So the band formed a circle and everybody in the venue sat around them. And I think it's still one of my most favourite shows of the ever. And when it finished, it was like during the week, it was pretty quiet, and we said, "Oh, let's all go have a dance." And I was like, "Okay." And then we were going into the city because that's where you went. And I used to have a lime green Mini, and we all piled into my Mini. I think there was 7 of us. And then it broke down, of course, on the way. And I just remember Warren pushing my Mini, trying to get us into this the Criterion to go and have some drinks. Fast forwarding, jumping in time, another gig, just a personal, again, favourite of mine was when the Pixies came and did a warm-up show for Splendour in the Grass. And I remember sitting in the zoo on my own, and they were sound checking and they sang Monkey's Gone to Heaven, and I felt like I'd gone to heaven because being an absolute fan, as a young girl, a music lover, imagining like sort of your idols and then sitting there and they're sort of singing your favourite song and you're the only one listening, it was a very surreal moment. Also, all of the benefits we've done have been really, really important to me and close to my heart. We've done so many benefits over the years, but each time we've done it, it's because somebody has been in need, and the outcome that we've achieved every time, it just makes me feel really special, more so than anything else, like having the avenue to actually help people. That's a really special gift the zoo gives.
Yeah, definitely. Now, as a venue, I think it's played a very important part in a lot of people's lives over the years. Probably none more so, though, than yourself. You actually met your husband at the zoo.
Well, we're not actually married, and his official title is lover. So when we are out and I do introduce him, I do have to say this is my lover, much to everybody's uncomfortable sort of pause and mouth dropping. So he would love to be my husband, but I'm a bit of a... I just prefer the term lover, actually.
That's fair enough.
Yeah. So yes, I did meet him. He's a musician, Guy Webster. He's a composer, amazing musician, and an amazing dad now to our son Walt, who's 13.
West operated. Now, I have something a little fun. We're going to take a little travel back in time, but I am going to need your help here. Sure. What I have off screen is a Scene magazine. Now, Scene magazine has been around probably just as long, if not longer, than the zoo. They've often come up together.
Yep.
And what I'd like to do is take you back to around this time, 20 years ago, to our issue 200 and show you some little memories of the zoo, see what springs to mind. I do need your help, though, so I can grab this. Could you just hold that for me, please?
No worries.
And I will bring this up. First of all, we have the Scene magazine in question. We're currently Scene Star, but we started out as Scene magazine. This is issue 200, featuring the Sneaker Pimps. Back then, they were called an emerging band, if you can believe that. So what we have here, second last page, is a strip ad for the zoo and what's happening at the zoo in September 1997. Here we go. And we'll put this down here. Now let's go through. First of all, as you spoke about, always a big supporter of community, local bands. You have a Brisbane band fundraiser here for Jevon and Seamus, also featuring Two Fairies and Chopper D.
Yes, well, I look at that and I just have to smile because it's basically all of my friends on a page. And, starting with a fundraiser. And I just look at our logo, our beautiful logo that was designed by Marcia Gibbs. And she's an amazing artist. And I just look at the essence of the zoo and I see that it's all still there 20 years ago. And it still feels the same today.
As we go down the page, we see that we've also got Brisbane Greats, the Resin Dogs playing.
With ISIS.
With ISIS as well.
Yep.
As well as 18 Wheels. Now, 18 Wheels brings back a few memories for you, I suppose.
Yeah, well, 18 Wheels was an amazing Sunday afternoon for about 8 years. We did country and western with Leah Cottrell, Jamie Clark, Toby Wren, Kim Ambrose and Helen Russell. Amazing performers. And I actually learnt to make the best onions for sausage sizzle ever from Ray Cook, who was our chef back then. It's because with 18 Wheels, it used to be beer and you'd have a sausage sizzle. So we had people just coming in for the sausage sizzle. But
I love that it says $2 beers there back in the day. $2 beers.
And the irony of from before, coming soon, 3rd of October, the Black Eyed Susans. So the synergy from the story that we talked about before is quite ironic, really.
Yeah. And over on the next page, we've actually got an article about the band ISIS.
Yes, yeah. And I actually took that photograph because before I started the zoo, I was actually a photographer. So that was my passion before I began the zoo. So ironically, that's my picture in there.
A life lived quite well and very productively in the local music scene, I'd have to say. Thank you very much for that. Now, just as we finish up, what's coming up next is the 23.5 celebration to mark your departure. Pixie's incoming. What have you got planned for 23.5?
It is people who've had a long-standing relationship with me and the zoo, plus also the zooies, which is a very common term. So people who've worked at the zoo get a label of the zooies, and there's been many, over 150 people throughout our time, probably closer to 200, and a lot of them are amazing musicians. And so I want to have a night that actually acknowledges and to include as many of them as possible, so that it feels like it's a celebration about the zoo again. And now I guess our ethos was always by the people, for the people. So it'll be by the zooies, for the zooies, and anybody else who wants to come along for the ride. So
now, Pixie, just before we go, in 23 and a half years, where do you see yourself in reference to the zoo?
Oh, I hope that history repeats itself and I'm sitting where Jock is. But I don't know, my mind's constantly blown by the sheer volume of amazing artists who have come through the zoo, and I really hope that I can continue to bring that caliber of people as well as the up-and-comings. And, yeah, I really hope that I can keep this place going and keep it thriving for 23.5 more years to come.
And now before you go, I believe you've actually got a little present for us.
Yes, my sister is a ceramics artist, and every year at Christmas time when we celebrate the zoo's birthday, she makes a special present that all the zooies get as a Christmas gift. And this is one in her series, and there's 2 roses, I think, to signify herself and I. There you go.
So there we have it.
So you'll have to always have a flower in it when you're doing your next interviews, and the zoo can live on here with you.
And that should take pride of place on the wall there.
Yep.
Now, thank you both for speaking with us today. Pixie, I guess all we can say is we hope to see you behind the bar.
Yes,
sometime soon.
I'll be hanging around there a bit now. Yep.
Excellent. And Jock, all the best with your future plans, and also thank you on behalf of Brisbane and the music scene for your years of service and providing a fantastic live music venue.
Thank you. Thanks.
Yay.
Thanks. Yeah, so...
You know, it actually turns out the zoo is, I think, a year older than Scenester. I said earlier that Scenester and they're around the same
Yeah, well,
age.
I sort of thought that, but, you know, I don't need to age myself anymore. So, yeah, we were December, the 11th of December, 1992.
And our first edition came out in 1993. So
Oh, no, I wouldn't mind talking about the app.
Yeah.
oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Tell us about your apps.
I'm creating an app. No, I'd like to, I guess, as part of showing the integrity of the zoo and the brand that we're carrying forward, we're in the process of creating an app for bands on tour. The idea behind it is to have bands be able to sign up to this app and then be able to see participating restaurants and cafes where they are at, where they can eat for free. So I would love to be able to revolutionise the way that bands travel and tour, and maybe Airbnb, couch surfing section. I'd love them to be able to channel the money that they would put into their art, take it from the food, put it back into their art, and then in return cross-promote the restaurants and cafes as well. So that's something really important to me that I'd love to get off the ground. So it's called Feed Music and the crowd.
I guess the nice synergy of that is in 2005 we started a program called Give Some Back, and we worked with Brisbane Youth Service, and they've always been our neighbours in the valley, and it's to help and support a lot of young and youth homeless. I don't know if people are aware of how many young people actually live hard on the streets, and Christmas you get a lot of spikes in suicide. So in 2005 we started a program called Give Some Back, where we would raise money and we would supply Christmas dinner for the local homeless kids. So it's actually synergy that now Pixie is talking about, feeding and going on with that.
And I'd like to make note that Jock met her husband at the zoo, so shout out to my new husband if you're out there.
Well, actually, when two zooies actually breed, they're called the offspring are called zoolings. So we actually have quite a few zoolings that exist. The only other thing that I wanted to say was, which is an outro, which I said earlier, is that the zoo is a community. And when I started the zoo, I didn't start it alone. My business partner was C. Smith, and her and I started it. We were two young girls. She was 23 and I was 25, so I was only a year younger than what Pixie is now. And we started this dream, and we wanted to realize an amazing space for artists that they could hang, they could feel included, they didn't feel ostracized. And I feel proud that it still exists 23 years later, and I feel that we've always been true to what we started out with and our dreams, and we've been able to, through so much help and support from everybody, we've still been able to not have to compromise the way the zoo runs. And I feel really, really proud that we've been able to just continue being and creating and evolving.